Hi everyone, and welcome back to Her Happy Mind Yaps. If you've been following me for a while now on Instagram, you've probably seen a video that I post over and over again, and it's a video of neurons firing and connecting in the brain. And I've gotten millions of views on these. And usually I put like a quote over them about happiness, healing, growth, confidence, resilience, gratitude, you name it. But I was talking to my sister and I realized that recently that I've actually never explained what this video is about. And so today I want to talk about what you're looking at in this specific video, what neurons represent, and why I think understanding your brain might be one of the most empowering things you will ever learn about yourself. And because the truth is the brain is changing right now. And as you're listening to this episode, as you're learning something new, none of us grow up going to school or learning about our brain. We just kind of are thrown into it and be like, handle it yourself. You figure out your own brain. But there is so much science, so much evidence around how our brains wire and rewire throughout our lives and the environments that we grew up in. And so I want to go over the science of where neuroplasticity comes from. So I really want to start from the basics. So your brain actually contains roughly 86 million neurons. And I want you to think of these neurons like messengers, like little mailman people, okay? And their job is to send information from your brain throughout your body. So every thought you have, every memory, every emotion, every habit, every skill, every conversation that you experience throughout your day, throughout your life, it all involves neurons communicating with each other and connecting that from your brain to your body to your brain. And when neurons communicate frequently, they begin building stronger and stronger pathways between each other until it becomes a bond, a link. And this is where one of the most famous phrases in neuroscience comes from. And you've probably heard it, and I post about it. Neurons that fire together, wire together. But what does that actually mean? It means that whatever you repeatedly think, feel, practice, or focus on becomes easier for your brain to access in the future. So your brain becomes more efficient at doing whatever you do most often because it creates a very powerful link that might be hard to unlatch after. But I'll get into that. So this is what's really important. Our brain wasn't designed to be happy. It was designed to keep us alive. And I have videos about this on glacier brains, but thousands of years ago, survival really depended on noticing danger. So if our ancestors ignored a threat, they might have not survived, right? But if they accidentally worried about something that wasn't dangerous, it wasn't a big deal. So our brains have evolved with something psychologists now called negativity bias. And I love this. I love sharing this because we're naturally actually wired to spot problems, not blessings. And we're better at noticing, and this is why we're better at noticing criticism than compliments, and better at remembering embarrassment or, embarrassing moments than success or successful moments. And we're better at focusing of what's going wrong than what's going right. And honestly, that's completely normal. And a lot of times I've been hearing more and more, most people think it's something wrong with them, that they need to fix themselves, and this is not normal. But if you are a stressful, overthinking person, your brain has actually evolved to do what it's supposed to be doing. So your brain is actually working properly. But the challenge is that we no longer live in caves. So that's the frustrating part, is because we don't need to scan for dangers all day long. It gets really, really overwhelming. And so the good news is now we have neuroplasticity, and we can explain this to people. Because while your brain has a default setting, it also has the ability to change through neuroplasticity. Neuro means brain, and plasticity means adaptable or changeable. So neuroplasticity is our brain's ability to reorganize itself throughout your entire life. And for years, scientists believed that once adulthood arrived, the brain just stopped changing. But we now know it's not true. Your brain can become adaptable and change throughout your whole entire life. It doesn't matter your age anymore. You can learn new skills. You can create new habits. You can develop a new perspective. You can strengthen healthier ways of thinking and build emotional intelligence that maybe you didn't have because of the environment you grew up in. But now that you can, because once we know better, we can do better. And you can even rewire your brain on how you respond to stress. And this is not overnight, it's gradual. And this is why I always talk about habits, because people often think change happens because of this one big moment, right? Read one book, it's one breakthrough, my New Year's resolution happens. But most of the time, change actually happens through repetition. So think about brushing your teeth for a moment. You don't think about every single movement that you do right now, right? Maybe when you were younger, but now it's become such an automated habit. Just like driving too, right? Getting to work, your first day at the job, you're like, oh my God, this is stressful. There's a stop sign, there's lights here, there's crosswalks. Now we barely even think about it because our brain has created shortcuts for these repeated behaviors. And the same thing happens with emotional habits. If you repeatedly criticize yourself, that pathway becomes stronger. If you repeatedly compare yourself to others, that pathway becomes stronger. If you repeatedly focus on gratitude, that pathway can become stronger too. So it works both ways because your brain doesn't know the difference between good and bad. It's just trying to keep you alive. And so all these repeated practices like self-compassion can make the brain respond and rewire itself, because happiness isn't just a feeling. And that's one of my favorite concepts that I learned from studying positive psychology, was that many people thought that happiness is something that just happens to them, right? They'll be happy when they lose the weight. We've all heard it. You'll be happy once you get the relationship, once you get married, once you land the job, once you buy your first home, once you've reached your goal, once you've retired. We've all heard this. But happiness is a collection of skills that can be practiced because of neuroplasticity. And skills can be strengthened, just like learning how to ride a bike. We strengthen that muscle all the time. So things like gratitude, optimism, mindfulness, connection, please get off your phone and connect with real people, self-compassion, resilience. Put your kids in sports because they will build resilience from a young age. These aren't just personality traits anymore. And something that you're like born without. These abilities can be developed throughout your life, but you have to train them. You have to build them. It's like strengthening a muscle. And I often think about my brain like a garden. So if you've ever or never planted anything intentionally, weeds will grow, right? Weeds will grow if you don't constantly take care of your garden. And the negativity bias is a little bit like a weed. They don't require effort. They just pop up and you're like, wait, how did that thought get there? Like, how am I slipping on this, right? But if you want flowers, you have to plant them. You have to water them. You have to nurture them. You have to give them sunlight. You might even have to sprinkle some vitamins in their water to make them more strong. And the most important one is that you have to be patient, because growth is often invisible while it's happening. And you don't just watch a flower bloom in real time. You don't just watch your child grow in real time. You don't watch your confidence develop in real time while you're doing your affirmations in the mirror. It's one day you suddenly just realize and you look back and you're just like, whoa, like I've actually changed. I don't react like that anymore. I feel calmer. I feel happier. I feel more present. My mind feels less busy, less corrupted, less crazy, right? And honestly, that's why I created my app. For years, I was teaching positive psychology in workshops, speaking events, and creating content online. But I kept asking myself, like, not all these people, how can I expand to all these people around the world? Because not everyone can hire me or see my content or afford it all, right? And so how can I give people the skills consistently? Because information alone doesn't create change. It's practice creates change. So I built an app called Build Your Happy Mind. And that's what it was designed to do, to help people understand how their minds actually work. Like if you like how I explained the glacier brain and the negativity bias, it helps people learn the science behind their emotions, their habits, and the well-being. And the most important part of this app is that it helps people practice, because every small step matters. There's going to be gratitude exercises, reflection moments, self-awareness. It's kind of like a Duolingo, but for your mental well-being, which is the best way that I can describe this app, with like the daily notifications and the things that you can do depending on the personalized quiz that you take and how much time you can give your happiness a day, right? 5 minutes, 20 minutes a day, which part of the day, right? So the next time you see that neuron video on my page, I want you to remember this. You're looking at the possibility of changing into someone new. You're looking at the change that you could become. You're looking at the proof that your brain is not fixed and you're not stuck, and that you're not just like finished in this one life. You have to be negative for the rest of your life, or unhappy or unfulfilled for the rest of your life. You're not defined by your past experiences, and your brain is constantly learning from what you repeatedly do, which means every day gives you another opportunity to build new pathways. So go and check out my app on studio.com, search Build Your Happy Mind, and understand more about the neuroscience and how that can change your life. Take the personalized quiz. You get 20% off until July 1st, 2026 if you're listening to this later. And remember, the goal isn't perfection. The goal is practice, because every time you practice a healthier habit or perspective, you're helping build your happy mind. And I know this app is going to change so many people's lives. It's affordable, it's accessible, it's in every single language. You can even communicate with me on the app. And I personally design each person's monthly or weekly happiness little bundle that they can do every single day, whether that's knowledge they want to learn, videos they want to learn more about, or just being like, hey, I need 5 minutes a day to actually get it done. What can I do? So I'm excited. Studio.com, build your happy mind after build her happy mind, because this is all about you and your happiness. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, you know to reach me here in the comment section, or if you want something more personal, DM me on Instagram at her happy mind. Bye everyone.